Well, hi guys, here we are again. I'm at home today, as you can see behind me. Apologies, it's probably a little bit echoey in here. I'm in the kitchen at the moment. And what I'm doing is, as promised in my previous video, I'm just going to run you through how I make my paste up for fishing. Now, as you'll be aware if you've seen my previous videos, I do like to paste wrap my boilies in the summer, and at the moment I'm fishing just with paste on the hook. Now I make this in a very similar way. The one leads on to the other, as you'll see in a minute, but as I've said, I said I would just show people how I do it. Now it's nothing revolutionary here, it's not hard. All I'm basically doing is making a paste from the boilie baits that I use, without having to go and buy base mixes, which sometimes you can't with certain boilies, or without any sort of special ingredients. Literally, I'm going to make some paste from some boilies. That's all I'm going to do, and then I'm going to thicken it up so that we can fish with it on the hook. So just to reiterate, two types of bait. The one is a paste wrap to go around a boilie that will dissolve. Now you can make it dissolve quickly or slowly depending on exactly what we do in a minute. And then a stage on from that is a paste bait that I want to stay on the hook, don't really want it to break down, for example for chub fishing. Right, let's get on with it. So what I'm going to do today is, because I've been doing really well with it this year, is knock some up just out of some krill. I've got some sticky baits to the krill here. These are 12 mils, doesn't matter what you use at all. Now I've done this with lots of different baits that I use, Pacific tuna, Scopex squid, all sorts of stuff, and you know, it'll save you a few quid as well. You can make probably with 50 pence worth of boilies what you'd pay 8 quid for in a jar from a tackle shop. So you know, even if you just want to save a few quid, this is what I do. I don't buy ready-made pastes anymore because you can knock them up really easily just from the boilies. Now I'm not recommending any baits, I'm not sponsored by anyone, as I've said previously, just an angler like you. Save a few quid, make my own baits, make my own paste. So that's all I'm going to do really. As I say, you can do lots of different makes and manufacturers of boilies, lots of different flavours. One I was using a lot last year was the Salty Squid by Mainline, one of their high impact range. You can't get the base mix to my knowledge, you can't get a paste, you know, with it. I think they pretty much only do the boilies in the liquid. So you want some paste, you've got to knock it up yourself. So that's really the reason for this. I'm just going to show you how I do it. It's not necessarily the way you should do it. There's nothing revolutionary. We're not making paste as such, but we're just going to knock some up from some boilies. You know, I'm not making it from scratch, if you like. Anyway, I'll stop talking and get on. All we need really is food processor. And all I'm going to do is chuck some boilies in here and blitz them down pretty much to nothing, to dust. When this starts, it'll create an absolute racket. So I'll cut through the boring bit and we'll come back in a minute when they're all blitzed up. But I'm going to get some in here for now. You don't need this bit. That does come in handy for making sort of liquids and stuff, blitzing up. I like to blitz up sweet corn in here. You make like sweet corn puree. Stick it in your ground bait, makes it nice and sticky, really smelly, lovely flavour in there. So that's what I use that for. We don't need that at the moment. And all I'm going to do is got the cutter in now. You can see that in there. Take the lid off and you might see a bit better. So it's got the cutter in there. As I say, all I'm going to do is tip in some boilies, plug it in. Well, literally just the amount of boilies you want to make paste from. There we go. All I'm going to do is stick a couple of these in here. That'll do. Cool, this stuff does pong. Literally, put the lid back on. Right guys, that's been about 5 minutes. So if I bring this over there, you'll be able to see what's happened. Basically, if I put that on the camera, you can see there, it's just turned into powder. That's the idea. You just blitz it up to break all the bits up. Absolute fantastic smell coming off there now. Well guys, I guess if you haven't got a food processor like I have, you'd probably struggle a bit to do this. I mean, you could probably dry them out maybe a little bit, or perhaps when they're fresh, I'll chop them up, you know, take a lot longer, or even perhaps grate them, might be an idea. Just to get it down to a nice powder. This just does the job very, very quickly. You know, if you have got one and you're not allowed access to it by, you know, your better half, then, don't know, tell her she looks beautiful for a week and then wait till she goes out. And then when you get in trouble when she gets home, it won't be quite so bad, will it? But, but seriously, it's not really an issue. I'll just chuck this in the dishwasher, it comes out fine. So what I'm going to do now, when I've got it down to dust like this, what I'm going to put in it depends really on what time of year it is. Now we're in the winter at the moment. Today is actually the 25th. It's Thursday the 25th today of January, I should say. So all I'm going to do, what I should say is I try and avoid using eggs in it. Eggs are great to bind it together. The problem with eggs are they go off, obviously. If I chuck some raw egg in here, I'm going to have to keep lobbing this back in the freezer all the time. And I do like to just keep it in my bag. So I can just grab my fishing bag, minute's notice, off down the river. These, as you can see, I've lost them. These are just shelf life boilies. I mean, shelf life boilies are brilliant these days. I've kind of gone away from the freezer options. Used to really like the freezer options, but these shelf life ones are as good today, in my opinion, or almost as good anyway. So that way I can keep all the stuff in my bag. That's really the reason for that. So what I'm going to use instead of that, simply some water. Now I bring it together with water. If I just use water, it will dissolve fairly quickly, and this stuff breaks down pretty quick. It will depend again what sort of boilie you're using. You have to try it out. It's very easy. When we bring this together in a minute with some water and make a paste out of it, all you got to do is just chuck it in a glass of water. I'm pointing over there because my sink's over there. Chuck it in a glass of water and time it and see how quickly it breaks down. That's all there is to it really, and you'll get a feel for it. If it is breaking down too quickly, which possibly will in the summer with the warmer water temperatures, what I tend to do is put some oil in it. And what I tend to go to is this stuff, which I buy from Tesco. Hemp oil. It's quite expensive, that's like £6. But this stuff will help stop the water getting at it. So if I was making a summer one, I made my dissolvable pastes in the summer, my paste wraps, I was sticking some of that in there, and it perhaps takes it from, like with the krill, if I mix this just with water, it will break down in about 20 minutes, half an hour, which is perfect for me. It's exactly what I want. I want it to break down. If you stick some of that in, only maybe 25% of that to water, 75% water, you'll take that to maybe 45 minutes. It'll last much longer, or if you've got a faster flow here on the Avon, you know, it's like a canal in the summer. So I want it to break down quite quickly. But you know, if you've got a fast flowing river, you chuck plenty of oil in with it, then it'll last a lot longer before it breaks down. So anyway, what I'm going to do, you can do it by hand this bit, but being a lazy sod that I am, I'm going to do it in here. And all I'm going to do is just drizzle some water in, just so it starts to come together. You'll see what I mean. This thing will just whiz round. I'll dribble water in. I'm not going to put any oil in this time because I want this to stay on the hook, but we're fishing in the winter. So I do want it to break down a little bit. So I'm not putting any oil into it. I'm literally just going to use some water, just tepid water. So I'm going to blitz this. Again, you won't be able to hear a word I'm saying, so I'm not going to talk. And I'm just going to drizzle some water in and you'll just see it come together. And there you go guys, that's exactly what I mean. It's all just pulled itself together into a ball, as you can see there. Hope you can see that. There we are. So right, time to get your hands on the job. Okay, so what you want to do, just as you saw there, just dribble some water in until it comes together in a nice ball like that. But just very carefully, and as soon as it starts to gather together, stop. And you'll get a nice firm consistency of a ball like that, as you can see there, I hope. Now, to be honest, if I wanted this as a paste to wrap around a boilie, that's it, we're done. That's as easy as it is. This stuff's brilliant, it'll break down lovely. What I'll do, what I'm just showing the next bit, is I'll break a bit of this off. Time's now just 7:30. I'll break a little bit of this off, stick that in a bowl there. I'm going to roll that into a little ball there, as you can see. I'm going to drop it, my manky fingers, in here. There's a bit of water, just tepid water, just not freezing cold but not warm either. I'm just going to drop that in there. We'll give it 15-20 minutes, just see what happens. As I say, it's 7:30 now, so we'll give it 15-20 minutes. We'll just come back and have a look at it. So that is as easy as it is, to be honest. You know, if you bought that in a shop, what's that? It's probably tenner's worth. It's more than you get in one of those little pots. And I've used, I don't know, perhaps 1/10 of a bag of Boilies. I mean, nothing really. And if you get it out and it's not quite this consistency, you make it a bit too wet, blitz up some more Boilies and lob this back in and let it all congeal back together again. And if it's a bit too stiff, just wet, literally, you want to wet your hands and just knead it, and that's it. You know, you'll get enough moisture into it. If you want a much finer paste than this, and I don't know if you can see that, hopefully, if the camera will zoom in on that, there's all the sort of bits in there from the Boilies, obviously all the ingredients. It looks like a sort of bird food mix to me. But if you want it finer, just run it through a sieve. I've worked it through a sieve before with the back of a spoon just to get a really, really fine paste. But I actually do like it a bit chunky like this, to be honest. It smells great. You know, the smell comes off it lovely, and it is exactly, and you know, it's exactly the same as your Boilies. I mean, literally, it is your Boilies. So, what are we going to do if we want to fish with this on the hook? Which is exactly what I want to do at the moment, chub fishing. I want this on the hook. As you've seen in my previous couple of videos, we had stacks of bites, missed them all. I had it on the hook. Obviously I was doing something wrong, not enough point showing, whatever, but we addressed it last time with that nifty little spring on the D-rig, and we converted 1 out of 2 bites on the paste, and it was krill again. They weren't having the cheese paste at all, but they wanted this stuff. So what I did to this to make it stay on the hook, because obviously this is going to dissolve, that's what we want. What you need is some of this. Now I discovered this stuff because 2.5 years ago, thereabouts, I was getting ill a lot, and I discovered, through one thing and another, I won't bore you with, that I'm allergic to gluten. So I shop a lot in the gluten-free aisle, obviously, the free from area of Tesco's, and I discovered this stuff. It's called xanthan gum. You can see that there. It's a food additive, and this does pretty much what gluten does in bread, cakes, stuff like that. Makes it stodgy. Except I'm not allergic to this stuff. Well, to my knowledge, you can't just buy gluten in a pot like you can. This is like £2 from Tesco. But you can buy this stuff. It's just a white powder in there, if you can see that. And all you got to do literally is knead this stuff in, and it turns paste that's quite, well, it sort of splits, and if you can see that there, it sort of splits, but that's what we want. But it turns that into something that's much more like cheese paste, which is what you want to stay on the hook, especially in flowing water. So what I'm going to do literally is just work some of this xanthan gum into this, and I'll get the camera down and I'll show you just how easy it is, to be honest. So guys, all I'm going to do is, I hope you can see this alright, is literally just work some of this in. We're probably only going to want maybe that much that'll probably do it. This stuff is fantastic. I'm getting to see this all right. I mean, not that you're particularly interested in seeing me work this into here for 10 minutes, but all I'm going to do is work it in. As you can see, it's drying it out a bit, so we can always add a tiny little bit more water just to stiffen it up, but I'm just going to see how we go at the moment. But I mean, that's literally it. We just got to work it in. As you can see, it's just not evenly in there at the moment. I'm going to have a bit of a workout for 5 minutes. Get some of this in here. And I don't know if this is coming across on here yet, but it is just starting to bind this together. Obviously it's drying it out, as I say, a little bit as well, so you've got to be a little bit careful about that. But if you can see that, that's probably a bit better, isn't it? It is just starting to making it a little bit more stringy, just a little bit. It has actually a little bit dry. Just going to put a tiny bit of water in here. I mean, literally a couple of drops, that's all. And to be honest, it's just a case of just playing with it, kneading it, working this stuff in until you get it how you want it. Like I say, it will just make it more like cheese paste, but obviously not cheese flavour. So guys, 15 minutes of hard work. And what I've done is just work that xanthan gum into it. It's a little bit dry, then put a tiny bit of water in, maybe like a teaspoon of water, some more xanthan gum, and just worked it until I've got it somewhere near what I want, to be honest. And this xanthan gum stuff seems to just keep working, so it's not quite binding together exactly as you want. It will probably come together a little bit more as it rests, but this stuff now, I don't know if it'll come over on the camera, to be honest, but it feels totally different. It's much more rubbery to the feel. It's much more spring to it. When I say I don't know if it will come out on the camera, but there's much more spring to it. It's still easy enough to break bits off, but it's much yeah, rubbery is the best way I can describe it. Like cheese paste, if you like. It's got much more rubbery feel to it, and it doesn't break down nearly as quickly as if you don't put the xanthan gum in it. It just binds it together, and that'll make a great hook bait. And to be honest with you, as I said, it's Thursday now. I'm sure you can't see much difference between this and it beforehand, but like I say, it does feel very different. I think what I'm going to do, I'm out tomorrow. The Avon is up and coloured again, so I'm not sure we're going to do any good. But what I shall do is take this out. We'll use this tomorrow night, being Friday. We'll go finish work at 2 o'clock. We'll get down the river about 3, half 3 by the time we get down there, with this very bait that we've made this evening, and see if we can't catch a chub on that tomorrow, or even a barbel if we're lucky. My mate Harry's been out today. He's had 4 out, so they're on the munch. Water's at just over 7 degrees, you know, so we may well get a barbel on this stuff as well. Smells beautiful. As I say, this will now stay on the hook for longer than about 5 minutes, which other stuff would do. Because that really is designed for wrapping boilies. It's designed to break down. This stuff is designed to stay on the hook, and that there you go, and that lovely spring rig that I knocked up, we'll give a go tomorrow too, again, see if we can have a bit more success on it. We'll try these little rubbery balls on it, and I'll just show you this one before we go, without trying to disturb it too much. Bring it over, but I don't know if you can see that, but look how cloudy the water's gone already. It's actually around this side. Will it come around? You can see it there, look. Starting to break down. It's now just before 10 to, so it's been 20 minutes, and you can see the colour it's put in the water, and that's without, you know, any movement in the water at all. So you see that's exactly what we want it to. We want it to break down. I want that one to break down and be gone in half an hour. This one, I want to stay on the hook for half an hour. And that's what the xanthan gum does. Anyway, as I said, I just wanted to show people what I do. You know, I'm sure there's other ways of doing it. There's probably better ways of doing it. I can't imagine there's an easier way of doing it, although there's a bit of elbow grease required in putting that xanthan gum in. But the more you knead it, the more it binds it up. You know, it's like kneading dough, really. But that's what I do. It puts a nice springy texture to it, and it stays on the hook beautifully. And as you saw in the last video, we catch fish on it. So I shall see you tomorrow. We will be on the bank again. I would imagine I'll be in the same peg. I shall walk down the stretch below the weir to that swim that's about half a mile down. And as I say, we'll get on this and see if we can't winkle something out with it. So thanks for watching. I hope that's been of some help and it might save you a few quid. I shall see you tomorrow. Good luck with your own fishing, tight lines, and I shall see you again on the bank tomorrow night.